Okay, today I'm going to be talking about how to use AI for business. I think most people don't don't really understand what's happening in AI, period, let alone business owners able to use it. So for me, what I learned is I'm pretty good at using technologies early and learning about them and then bringing them to business, right? Like I've used a few technologies pretty early on, um, and what I've learned is as a business owner, most of us, when you're using early technology, we don't know what's about to happen, right? We just don't know the the future, right? Nobody knows the future. But as a business owner, you know that things change, and if you don't change them, you can go out of business. So what I've learned is how to start playing with these AI, with these new technologies, whatever it is. So now that AI is a thing and everybody needs to understand it, I've been learning how to talk to people about it. I've been talking to business owners, mostly through my new company. I am like helping business owners use AI not for like production, but to help their money grow. But at the same time, they do ask me how am I using AI to build this stuff so fast. And basically today I want to talk about it and any questions, of course, if there's anybody watching who's a business owner. What I think the first thing I want to talk about is, of course, what is the macro business sense, in general, we know that the economy's bad right now, right? And as business owners, the last time this happened to us, if you were in business, was during COVID, right? And one of the things I felt like I hoped a lot of entrepreneurs learned back then, and I definitely did, was what do you do? What do you create business wise that could survive during times like COVID? COVID was kind of like the perfect storm to help you see what type of business would work in any environment, right? So back then, I remember I was making websites. I had I had a few animation project profit. So I had built up a nonprofit to a level where when the pandemic hit, there were a lot of schools that needed what that nonprofit provided, which still exists. And what that was is youth needed something to do, and startups were looking for help. So what that nonprofit does is it helps startups raise funding, and it also gives the youth an opportunity to watch startup founders build companies. The company's called MetaBronx.com. So we were in prime position when COVID hit. Again, not on purpose. It's not like we saw COVID coming, but we built something knowing that the future was coming, and when the education system caught up, they would see that they needed what we provided. So we were in a perfect position because we planned for that. And now I see some correlations, and I think we can discuss like some learnings and take advantage of that for now. Because right now we're heading into a crazy time where, you know, I just don't know what's going to happen, but I know how to plan to be in a good position when things do happen, right? So what I do during that time, my agency was getting work, but I already knew because I had been playing with AI for like at this point, I think I've been playing with AI for like 7, 8 years. Most people know about AI about 2 years ago when ChatGPT hit and everybody started playing with it. My story goes back further back because again, I sell innovation production. So I got a company that came to me and they asked me to do a 3D scan of bones in the Museum of Natural History, right? So again, somebody reached out to me because a lot of times the way it normally worked was people will get a hard problem to solve and then somebody will guide them to me. They'd be like, yeah, we don't do that, but probably Miguel does. So somebody hits me up with this and they're like, can you help us with this project? We have to scan. It was called Lucy. It's like an early kind of ape that turned into man. I think it's like our evolution. So they have these bones in the Museum of Natural History, and they wanted to make 3D versions. So when they're teaching it, you can spin around the monkey and stuff. So I went into it my normal way. I assessed the situation and I said, all right, this is going to take photographers, 3D modelers, um, and maybe some developers. We didn't know. So again, a project like this, it was a lot of bones. Like I forget, but it was gonna take probably like 10 people, this project. So I'm looking at it, I'm assessing it, and we 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 bill for it and we tell them the price, they say okay. Then while I'm setting up the team, I find this AI software that literally made it so I only needed two people instead of the 10 I billed for. And of course, as any businessman, you're like, woo, I'm about to make more money. But what I really started to think was, oh my God, what is gonna happen to this business that I'm running once people realize there's stuff like this? So I said, okay, first of all, we're gonna use it. We're gonna use it to learn it. And we basically did this project so fast that I almost had to like I had to tell the team because again I didn't need as many people and it didn't take nowhere near what how long I thought it was going to take. So we had to like play it out like we actually had a bigger team. And of course, you know, as a business person, you're not going to be like, all right, I figured out a way to do this at 20% of the cost. You're still going to build what you build. So I remember talking to other business owners when this was happening, and they were like, dude, just keep selling that service. You make a killing. And I was like, yes, this specific job doesn't come along a lot, right? Like, how often does the Museum of Natural History have bones that are need to be scanned, right? So it wasn't that this job could be easily repeated. It was more about this is the way everything's going. So I, in that moment right there, said, I need to change my business. I need to like look at my whole agency different because if this is happening with this one specific thing, I could see it happening for everything else that we do. Who knows how long it takes? Of course, I'm telling you this was like 7 years ago. It still hasn't totally happened, but it has started happening. So I caught it within a 10-year window of my business and I said, all right, it's time to shift because this is changing the world. And 7 years ago, playing with AI, I made the decision I need to create a different type of business. I cannot be doing the same idea that I was doing before. Like making apps and games and websites and 3D models, all that stuff is going to change. And yes, I could keep going with whatever I got going, but how much really do I keep doing it, right? Because at the end of the day, eventually it is going to be gone. So yes, I can say, who knows how long, just keep going, bill as much as you want. I said, look, I don't want to be caught at the end of this thing. I'll still